This is the city of Vishakhapatnam on the east coast of India. As Indian metro areas go, it's actually considered a baby city with only 3 or 4 million people. There's so many fascinating things about the built environment in this part of the world. The infrastructure, the transportation, the way they've built their power grid. But the most fascinating thing to me about the built environment in India is their use of concrete. It is everywhere. Large buildings, small buildings, single-family homes, even property line fences are made out of mass concrete. I've been exploring the more rural areas of this particular state and seen a lot of these concrete buildings up close. But from this high vantage point, you can really see how this affects the look of the city. Practically every single one of those structures is reinforced concrete. Not steel frame, not timber, no masonry, and no composite materials. Just good old-fashioned reinforced concrete. In a lot of ways, this is a pretty pragmatic choice. This part of the world doesn't exactly have a robust timber industry. The climate is pretty warm and very moist, and you could say that the termites around here are aggressive. Now, there's plenty of pros and cons to this particular building decision, and we don't have time to get into all of them in this video. But one thing I will point out is that this style of construction does not weather elegantly. As I go on an architecture tour, someone will point out a building that's 5 years old and a building that's 30 years old, and they look the same. Paint is peeled off, cracks have formed. Unless it was built just in the last few years, everything looks like it was a half-century old. If you look at it through purely Western eyes, this is a kind of a problem. But the truth is, all these buildings are still standing. Just because the structures look dilapidated doesn't mean that they actually are. The majority of these structures are lived in by active, prosperous families, thriving businesses, even whole industries. At the end of the day, we've got to remember that this material choice was made not for its aesthetic, but for its practical use for this specific climate.